A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, young men and young women, or in short, future doctors, future dentists. My name is Barbara, and I'm from Melaka-Manipal Medical College. We are delighted to have you here with us today as we explore our webinar topic for this week. What do medical schools look for in a candidate? Joining us today would be Professor Dr. RD Nagar Lufti Abbas, who is the Dean from the Faculty of Medicine at Melaka-Manipal. Now, we would be discussing with Prof RD on three particular areas, which we will go into shortly. And then we will close off with a bit about our program, the application process, and we'll take your question and answers towards the end. Should you have any questions that you wish to ask, please use the chat feature. Our facilitators are on standby to take down your questions, which we will answer towards the end of the session. So we hope that you will stay with us to the end. A bit about Professor Dr. RD Nagar Lufti Abbas, who is our Dean. He graduated from University of Malaya from his MBBS, and he was attached with the Ministry of Health in various capacities prior to joining Melaka-Manipal. Now, Prof RD is an absolute expert, in terms of what do medical schools look for. In addition to being the Dean, he's also together on various panels with the Malaysian Qualifications Agency accreditation team, being one of the panels. He's also a committee member elected by the Director General of Health to look into accreditation guidelines on medical schools. Prof RD, are you there? Prof RD?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay.
How are you today, sir?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Barbara, for inviting me here. It's
Oh,
a great
no,
joy
it's
to
a
be
delight.
with all of you.
Yeah, and you've been leading the faculty on online classes since the start of MCO, and now we know you're busy managing the students as we're preparing for our final semester students and all to come back, right? Right. Okay. So thank you so much, Prof, for taking time to come and speak with our students today. Most of them are exploring a career in medicine, and they're at the point of applying for medical schools and joining medical schools, whether it's private or public. That's the interview process. Public universities, the process is a bit more stringent. You got to send in a CV and things like that. Now we want to hear from your side, the other side of the fence, right? The pickers, I would say. It's a tough decision as well, isn't it, Prof, for you as a dean to decide which student should be given a seat. Medicine, seats are so coveted, they're so prized. What do you look for and stuff like that? Now we all know if you want to study medicine, you've got to have good academic grades as a foundation. But I'm sure there are other factors that your team and you take into account during the interview or the selection process. And that's what we hope to explore with you today. Is that all right, Prof?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've prepared some materials for our viewers today. Would you like to share your screen?
Oh, okay. So let me go into the sharing mode.
Okay, great.
Okay, can you all see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, Prof. So to start off, what characteristics would make a good medical doctor?
Okay, so let's have a look into the traits of a good doctor. But before going into and explaining the traits of or characteristics of good doctor, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you here to this webinar. All right, it's a great joy to be with all of you here. So before beginning, let me just talk about with regards to public health concern, which is on COVID-19. So you all know about COVID-19, and if I can show a bit of slide of COVID-19. We all experienced in the beginning of 2019 the first cases of COVID-19 from Wuhan, China. Since then, in Malaysia, it was noted in the end of February and beginning of March, going up really astoundingly high. But thank God to the efforts brought in by our frontliners, and our frontliners are all made up of doctors, physicians, consultants, nurses, and other allied health workers. We managed to bring it down into almost negligible, almost zero, which is a feat, and which is actually exclaimed by World Health Organization. In fact, Malaysia, just to inform all of you, in 2019, we were declared as having the best, not one of the, but the best healthcare system in the whole world, gaining 95 out of 100 points. So they have a system of metrics to look into the healthcare system. So Malaysia is actually not bad. And we should, if I can be so brash, we showed the world that we have managed to bring down the tally to almost negligible. So we like to applaud and celebrate the frontliners, the doctors, nurses, and so on. So that's what we are here. All right. And without further ado, let me just share with you traits of a good doctor. You want to be in the frontliner. Who knows? There might be another emerging pathogen. Touch wood. All right. But I tell you, there have been lots of pandemics. In 1918, just after the First World War, there was the Spanish flu, and there were more lives lost. You'll be astonished to know 100 million people lost their lives during that. 100 million in 1918 is a huge amount. So,
I'm just going to ask you there. They say these type of pandemics is a one in a century, but I think as people evolve, just like technology has evolved, we are going to see the cycles shortening, isn't it?
Yes, yes. In fact, even though the pandemic of 1918 was about a century ago, we had many multiple pandemics in between. We have, of course, the pandemic of AIDS, all right, it's still ongoing. Of course, we have the cocktail treatment to reduce that. And in between, in 2002, we had SARS outbreak, all right? In fact, it involves lots of continents. We can call it a pandemic. In 2012, I don't know whether you've heard of it, we had the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome outbreak, all right, which was contained, but it was having high case fatality rate of every 1 in 3 persons died, all right? So that is quite high. And so we have to be on our toes to be forthcoming with regards to emergence of new pathogens coming up.
Yeah, so, and the last two that you mentioned, they were also airborne diseases, just like COVID-19 is.
Can I beg to differ? It's not. It's a direct contact. SARS and MERS are direct contact. In fact, even COVID-19 is a direct contact, but it can be transmitted through direct projection of, when you sneeze or you cough, but it is not really aerosol transmitted. So we have determined that. Unlike like tuberculosis or measles, they are airborne. They can go from one end of the bus to the other end. COVID-19, we have really determined they can be about 1 or 2 meters. So COVID-19 is actually fairly easy to control just by having good social distancing of about 2 meters and wearing masks. Of course, I'm not wearing masks because I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
The only virus that you are to be frightened of in your monitor would be a computer virus, not a biological virus.
Yeah.
So
a lot of our viewers today, they have always, probably growing up, be inspired by medical professionals, and with this COVID-19 and the focus on frontliners, definitely that has also been added inspiration to them. So maybe you could share with us, what makes this medical frontliners, what's the extra thing in them that actually makes them step up to the call of duty?
Okay, I will. Thank you very much, Barbara. So I will give you the 11 traits or 11 characteristics of a good frontliner or good doctor. So one of the most important trait would be communicating with not just your patients, but being able to communicate with the staff around you, and of course the relatives. And sometimes I tell you, relatives can be very, very demanding. I remember lots of relatives coming to me and saying, why are you giving this drug? Why are you giving that? And so on. When will my brother be able to walk? And so on. So you need to be able to visualize that they are your customers, all right? So you have to be friendly with them. You cannot be very firm, even if they are wrong. You must tell them gently, because the thing is, we want to forge a very close relationship with our patients, with the relatives. And I tell you, I've lots of patients from the the old times. They are still calling me. And I was treating patients as far back as 1992, 1993. They're still calling me, Dr. Adi, come and join me in Perak. I was stationed there. So communication is very important. And the next trait that you need to work out if you are interested in being a doctor would be teamwork. As you realize, in a typical ward, you would have nurses there. You would have chest physicians over there. You have these allied health care workers like physiotherapists there. So you cannot be too bossy. You need to be able to communicate, give your ideas, and please respect all the care worker over there, because they are there with the highest intelligence of their domain. You cannot be thinking, oh, I'm the specialist here. I'll make the decision. Yes, you'll be making the decision, but you need to be guided by them. So teamwork is important, and research has shown that if the teamwork is cordial, having good relationship, more often than not, the morbidity and mortality of that particular ward would be reduced tremendously. So it is an important component. The next is, of course, work ethics. You must realize, if you are interested in medicine, you'll be joining the MBBS program or the MD program. Some universities call it MD. Most are calling it MBBS. But if you compare the degree with, for instance, engineering, architecture, law, there are only 4 years, whereas MBBS program would go up to 5 years. And I tell you, towards the clinical end of the years, the year 3, year 4, year 5, not only you are required to do studying and learning, but you are required to go to the wards until midnight and so on. So you must have strong work ethics, be prepared to work hard. And in fact, even after graduation, you will be required to do a lot of on-calls during your first 2 years of housemanship, and then the next 2 years of medical officership. All right, and then you can make decision to go into being a specialist or consultant, and from there, you still need to keep up your hard work ethics, which is very important. And the next trait that is important would be compassion, and being compassionate is caring for your patients, and it is important that you understand the sufferings of your patient, so that you can visualize the pain that he's suffering. So if you can visualize, it will compel you to go and treat the patient. All right, so you must treat them as human beings rather than numbers. Too often I've seen doctors treating them as number one, bed number two. So without you should be calling them, Ali is having this, so and so, Mutu is having so and so. And so you have to know the names and be compassionate with their sufferings. And so with that, then you'll be able to tend to them and give them good medication. The next would be social skill. And as I said earlier on, that you need to be socially bonded with the patient and the relatives. And I'm telling you that no two patients is the same. They might be having the same age group or same illness, but they may be having different way of life. I've seen this before. And so you need to be able to communicate and be bonding a relationship with them. Some might be demanding, all right? Some might be just very introverted, okay? So to a shell. And so you have to have special skills. And I tell you, when you go through the MBBS program, we have a certain a module which is called personal professional development in phase 1, which would be dishing out the skills required to acquire all of this. Another thing is, of course, being a doctor, touch wood, you tend to go up the ladder, all right? You'll be joining the master program or be a specialist and consultant. And once you are a specialist or a consultant, you are given the realm or the mantle of being a leader. So you must have good leadership skills, because you need to ensure that your ward or your region, your district is low in terms of morbidity and mortality. And leadership skills mean the ability to listen to your staff under you, the ability to develop your staff, the ability to inculcate good relationship, and the soft ethics. All right? And leadership is for the future. And we need also that you have a good managerial skill. You need to differentiate managerial and leadership. Managerial is for today, for the now, and leadership is for the future. So managerial, for instance, if you have conflicts amongst your staff, you need to be able to resolve. If you have lots of cases coming in, you need to prioritize which are the cases that require urgent management, and which require later management, and so on. So you need to have these managerial skills. And of course, very importantly, competency. Competency is one of the important traits that a doctor must have. It is important that even after you have graduated, you must go for your faculty development programs or join seminars and so on to further improve your competency. So there are about 8 or to 9 competency that we require from you guys. Knowledge, cognitive, psychomotor, the ability to clerk a patient, do physical examination, do procedures. Right, then you must be able to do critical thinking, problem solving, competency, and then of course ethics, the soft skills competency comprising of ethics, professionalism, and of course information handling and research competency is required. And down the line, we require managerial skills. And of course, entrepreneurship. You'll be surprised. We are not so much business minded, but we need the entity to grow. So entrepreneurship is required here as a competency. Then, of course, being a doctor, you'll be facing lots of stress. But I'm not saying doctors are the only ones facing stress. All kinds of jobs have stress, but the stress level in amongst doctors can be one of the highest. All right, but if you are able to handle stress, then touch wood, you'll be able to go through the MBBS program and the postgraduate program easily. And one of the ways institutions manage stress is having these extracurricular activities, all right, which we will afterwards perhaps go in detail. And of course, you can go and exercise, your body. That is one of the stress management. Or you might pick up a hobby which is not too engaging. If it's too engaging, then you take away yourself from the realm of MBBS. So something that is light and it can deal with the stress easily. Okay, another item that you need to know is professionalism. This one we adhere very much. It's an important trait. Professionalism comes from the word profession. Profession is defined as group of workers in a certain category of work. So you have to be proud of wearing a lab coat, having your tie, having your stethoscope. All right. So and with that, it is responsible for you. It is mandatory for you to be in the wards early in the morning and communicate as best as possible the drug treatment procedures and so on. So you have to be professional in all this. So together with professionalism, you must have integrity, you must have honesty, compassion, you must have good moral values, all right? And of course, the way you communicate also, you must be professional in the sense of communication. And communication, professionalism also requires that you be competent. All right. If you are not competent, you are not professional. This is one way of looking into professionalism. So you have to make sure that you up yourself with regards to the current knowledge, and of course you must have passion of liking the particular profession. And I tell you later on. Doctors, of course, generally they have to be in hospitals. One misconception is that, sometimes you think that doctors need to be in the hospital all life, but it's not correct, because doctors have a lot of varieties. So this is where passion comes in. So maybe you love the community. So there is a doctor profession in the community, for instance, community medicine, all right? Or you love the industries. So there is a profession amongst a doctor that requires you to go to the industry and look for hazards at workplace. We call them occupational hygienists or occupational medicine specialists. Or maybe you there is a passion for you to look at skin disorders only rather than the whole thing. You're not bothered, but you only love skin. So you have to go through being a doctor. Then later on, you be a dermatologist, a skin specialist, and so on and so forth. So these are the 11 traits required to be a good doctor. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Prof, a few things. Now, a lot of these skills, a student who has completed their STPM, matriculation, foundation, A levels, they would have heard of it, but they would not maybe have an opportunity to develop it as yet. Correct?
Yes.
So how can a student demonstrate that they probably have some? For example, for a student at a student level, competency obviously would be based on solid academic grades, right?
Okay.
Leadership, like for example, if they were a school prefect, sports team captain, then yes, that would be a platform that they could have demonstrated some leadership skills. But and teamwork if they were active in CCA and stuff like that. But what about the rest? Things like passion, compassion. How would you, as an interviewer during an interview process, determine if a student has some or all of these?
Yeah, okay. A good question. So, Barbara, in terms of passion and compassion, definitely we would like to ask them what drives them to, join the medical profession. So we would ask them whether, is it being forcefully driven to you by your peers
Your
or
parents.
your friends are going to this. So if they are doing that, then there is no passion. They're just following the crowd, or maybe their parents are asking them, look, my eldest is joining engineering, so I think you better be a doctor. So, if they are doing that because of trying to be friendly or compassionate to their parents, okay, compassionate to their parents, then that's also not a good way. So we have seen several students who have actually dropped out because their passion is not there. And they tell me, Dr. Ade, actually, I was forced to go into this program because of external forces. And you know what's the external forces? Somebody goes to their family. So it's a sad thing. So we try to hold them longer, but it's a bit difficult. So sometimes we have to let them go. But the numbers are very small. Okay, and but of course, once they listen to my varieties, when I tell them about the varieties of doctors, because they say I can't, I can't stand up to be in the hospital all this, and serving patients, and I say you just have to withstand for the first 4 years, and after that you can join the community health center, all right, or you can join some other centers that require you lesser, engagement in the hospital. But of course, by and large, being a doctor, you have to be there and serve the community. Right, but I'm just trying to put an emphasis that there are varieties of specialists available that you can look into to help in driving the passion, because sometimes maybe their passion is something else.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, Prof, one more question on this point. Now, you mentioned that it's important to have social skill, be compassionate, identify your patients, connect with them. But it's a very fine line, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, from the marketing side, often when we talk to students, one of the questions we ask at Melaka-Manipal is, why do you want to be a doctor? Because like you rightly said, we want to determine the motivation and passion is there.
Yeah.
A lot of students tell me, I like to help people. But
Yes.
when you become a doctor, there is a fine line to walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do we teach students in the program on how to manage this?
Yeah.
That sort
So
of thing?
yeah, so this one in the I'm very proud to state here that in the phase one of the Melaka-Manipal Medical College program, we have a module called the Personal Professional Development. This is going to be based in phase one, and at the moment, phase one will be in Manipal, India. So this would be entailing a duration of 2.5 years, where the personal professional development requires you to have a logbook and account of your soft skills like ethics, professionalism, and teamwork, right? And of course communication. Right? So they will also expose students to certain lectures, mini lectures of this. They have video recordings of those who have good communication, good teamwork, good ethics. So along the way, they will learn. But I agree with you. With regards to soft skills, the best way of acquiring soft skills is actually not through teaching learning. This is by research, and research has shown that the best way is actually emulating a role model. So that's why we inculcate here in the Manipal campus, both in Malaysia and Manipal, that faculty here should be role models, or should be be always coming in early and so on, showing compassionate moral values to patients. So following these role models, it will help to inculcate these values into them. So these soft skills, I tell you, is a bit difficult, but they usually will be inculcated by following role models, and we are proud to state that our faculty here are quite exemplary or very
Oh
exemplary.
yes.
Yeah, they
Extremely
have been.
exemplary.
They are presidents of Malaysian. We have about 3 or 4 faculties who were past presidents of Malaysian Medical Council, Malaysian Medical Association. Forgive me,
Yeah.
Malaysian Medical Association. For instance, Prof Jayakumar, Prof Nachiapan, Prof Tarmasilan in ONG. So they are previous MMA presidents of nation or of the states.
Yeah.
So we hope that by having good role models faculty, this ethics and I mean these soft skills would be inculcated among students. And of course, we tell them during lectures, you have to be compassionate to your patient and so on. With this, it will only drive you to go and treat the patient rather than. So we do have this also embedded in our psychiatry module, all right, where the soft skills techniques are taught. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, moving on, from the admissions process, the interview process, does co-curricular achievements matter?
Yes. Okay. If I can bring you to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Does extracurricular activities do they help? Okay. See, one of the main entity that you should acquire to be a good doctor is the ability to manage stress. And I tell you, you need to actually pour your outlet somewhere else, not towards faculty shouting at them. So one of the ways is having extracurricular activities, and this has already been shown in research. If you look at this slide, that extracurricular activities, amount of participation in these activities has been positively related with academic achievement. Of course, it can also reduce stress. Another research paper has shown that students who participated in school-based has had higher grades, higher academic aspirations, and higher so and so with these activities. And we like to state here, all right, that the Students' Council is very actively involved in extracurricular activities, and we are proud to state that the budget given to the Students' Council is one of the highest in the country.
Yep.
We do expenditure of about $500,000 Malaysia, and these are some of the activities that we perform. All right. We have polio awareness, V-Day appreciation, Christmas, Chinese New Year, blood donation. This is 2018. We have also for 2019 and 2020, all right, pre-COVID. And if you look at the sports event, we have also multiple events. And look at the month of February of 2018, we have football-friendly football games. And then here we have polio awareness victory day appreciation. And you can notice that there would be an event occurring every 2 or 3 days. The interval is 2 or 3 days. So we are proud to state that we are extremely active, but we do not want students to be involved in all the events or all the games. They can choose according to their whim and fancy. And so the effects of extracurricular activities has been shown to improve academic performance because it allows you to focus, concentrate, right? And one thing that we notice is that extracurricular activities is more to the right side of the brain. If as students of biology, I'm sure you all know that we have the left side and the right side. Left side is more on logical thinking, sequential thinking, mathematical thinking, all right, which is actually what the curriculum offers. But the right side of the brain, which is musical, artistic, they are not often taught in the real curriculum. So they have to be in the extracurricular. So we have plenty of these events coming up. So it will also allow students to explore other perspectives. We have also the Toastmasters. So a lot of our Toastmasters, they go on and represent the college in competitions, in public speaking. So when they come back to the curriculum, they have a different perspective, a broader perspective which allows them to solve problems. So we are excited in that. And when they do represent the college or institution in events, they come back very high self-esteem. They have opportunity to be engaged with medical students, not just in the country but overseas. So we have what is known as Neurobites competition, which is an international event that is attracting multiple countries from Asia, and in fact even from Africa. We have some of these coming in on a regular basis. So they they engage in mutual exchanges. All right, so this is good. Yeah. And one good item from extracurricular event is that it reduces stress. It produces a break. We need a break. We can't just continuously study, in the curriculum and then you come back very exhausted. You go into mental breakdown. So we do not want that to see. And we have to admit stress amongst medical students in general, I'm not saying from this one, in general would be higher than stress in law students or engineering and so on. So, because of why? Because I'm saying it is 5 years in duration. And apart from the teaching learning sessions, you must engage yourself in the hospital and do some activities there to help out in the hospital setting. Sometimes you are required to do on-calls also. And extracurricular activities like Toastmasters and so on would imbue upon students soft skills like leadership, teamwork, communication, and so on. So it's good. And maybe I can show you some of the activities. We have hostel rooms competition. We have cultural nights. So you can see them very happy. So when they come back, they are distressed. We have even the yoga club, Melaka-Manipal Medical College. MMMC is standing out for Melaka-Manipal Medical College Yoga Club, where students of all races, they can come in and reduce their stress via relaxation techniques. I think, Barbara, you might be interested to join this yoga club.
I had signed up for it and never went for it.
Okay, yeah. And then we also have sports activities. And just to inform you, we have 2 swimming pools in our Malaysia campus, one in Melaka and one in Muar. And our Indian campus is still open. All right. We have 7 swimming pools over there. And in fact, we have a sauna, believe it or not. You have not misheard me. We have a sauna. We are the only institution in the country with sauna facilities. Okay, SAUNA. So we have that in Melaka campus. If you want, you can come, and after COVID is okay. In fact, I think COVID is going to be okay. We have already recorded 0 cases. Within 14 days, if we don't record any more cases, the whole country has no COVID. And I'm in the public health line, epidemiologist by profession. All right. So we have also Manipal Run for Life. Okay, I agree that some of these parts may not be associated with academic performance, but they are required to energize you, all right, and be part of a healthy lifestyle. And we have noticed from a lot of research conducted that shows that people who jog in the early life, they tend to carry on jogging and be very healthy, be very productive in the later lives. So we are producing all of this, right? And we are still not. And if you are very left-sided brain in terms of dominance, we do have quizzes like neurobite competition to cater to your. We are not into arts and we do
intellectuals.
We have intellectual events like this event, neurobite event, which is annually conducted.
Okay. Now, Prof, if a student comes in, very active, at the point of admissions, and they are a straight A student, they've been very active in co-curricular activity. As the admitting dean, right, the dean in charge of students joining the faculty, would that student stand out a bit more in your decision-making process, whether or not to offer that student a place?
Okay, we are holistic in nature. We give 1/3 marks to curriculum, 1/3 to academic, and 1/3 to other soft skills, attainment. So we look into it in a holistic manner. But of course, if they have extracurricular points in addition to their academic performance, then it would be a good plus point to enter. And I have to tell you that this is not just for us. It is for all SPM graders, school leavers entering the government government universities. I've seen their grading, alright, because my son just finished SPM. So the UPU, the marks are about 70%, 80% towards your performance, but the other huge percentage is into your extracurricular activities in your school. So that goes into your selection process in the universities, all right, in the universities. So we have this thing to cater to. All right, so we look to it as a holistic. But maybe if they have too much of the curricular activities, and let's say their performance is not so good because of their intense, that would also be a downfall. So we encourage students to go for these annual activities, all right, but in a moderation manner, just to allow them to yell out their frustrations at certain faculty or whatever. Right, but yeah, of course, yeah. So
okay.
yeah.
And if they remain active and during their study of the MBBS, does it help when it comes time to apply for a housemanship? Does the ministry look into all these as well, or ministry is just plain straight pass fail MBBS?
Oh, it would be pass fail MBBS. So one of the criteria to enter the housemanship is if you are coming out from a medical school that is accredited by the Malaysian Medical Council and the Malaysian Qualifications Agency. As long as you have cleared the final examination, all right, then you are able to enter the housemanship. But having said so, having been involved in extracurricular activities is not just to put your stamp in the in whatever records. It is to ensure that you lead a healthy lifestyle, to have a broader perspective, to have a different outlook. So it would help you in the long run. And we have seen those who are in engaging in sports, they continue throughout their adult life, middle age, and later on in their, being a senior consultant, they are still playing badminton and so on, because
Oh,
they used to
yes.
represent the school or the college in badminton tournaments. So they are very active and very vibrant. I've seen, on the other hand, my colleagues who are not very much involved in sports or in extracurricular activities, so they are a bit more down, all right, or might not be more active and vibrant. And if you ask me, a lot of my colleagues who are into the specialist mode, that means we have attained specialist level and so on, they have engaged themselves in extracurricular activities, all of them, right,
Mm. But
in
like,
a certain one. And some of the best consultants, the ones that is one of some of my colleagues are in the limelight in the national front and so on. They used to represent students council. They used to be a leader in so and so. They used to be a squash player and so on. I can name names, but I better not.
yeah.
But
So
I can
it,
tell you they have been involved in extracurricular activities, and they are now head of the this unit, that unit in the Ministry of Health, and so on. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yes.
So they would, I would assume some of them are the, ministry's 5 p.m. press
Yes. Yes.
conference panglima.
Yeah, I'm from
Yeah.
I graduated from University of Malaya, so I know some of my colleagues. They are doing quite well. So when I look at their, oh, this guy used to be playing rugby, or playing this and that, or this lady is a squash player or something like that, or this one used to be the students' council representative and so on. Yeah, they
Yeah.
tend to be having something.
Yeah, but like
So
you
yeah,
rightfully said at the start, these are skills. So long as you're good at time management, these are skills
yes,
that
right,
it's like riding a bicycle. You never forget how to ride a bicycle, right?
yes.
So if you had the experience of organizing an event, the tenets of organizing an event is the same regardless of what type of event. These are skills that would carry you through. So we do encourage students to, yes, it's important to focus on your exams and the grades, but also keep up the co-curricular side of things. Now, Prof, last question. Is it important for a student just starting on the MBBS journey to have clarity? I mean, you would have had at interview time, students telling you, oh, I want to become a cardiologist. I mean, they haven't even finished their MBBS, but they are already saying, I want to be a heart surgeon, I want to be a brain surgeon, I want to be a pediatrics. Is it all that important, or should they keep an open mind?
Okay, this is my view, and I think again I'm very much into research. Should we plan, as you can see in the slide there are lots of studies that say that having planning, having goal setting, effort management is extremely important. It's like if you are in a sailboat in the middle of the ocean, you do not know where to go. All right, maybe so you'll be floating aimlessly. Yeah? So you must direct yourself somewhere, otherwise you will just float and float and float.
Yeah.
According to this research, it says that if you have goal setting and planning, you tend to have better academic performance, better soft skills management, and so on. So with this regards, I'd like to take you through that it is better that if you are wanting to be a doctor or even an engineer, whatever, or you have to start thinking of your short-term plan. Your short-term plan in medicine would be completing your MBBS program, all right? And your long-term plan would be what do you want to do after you graduate, after 2 years being a houseman and 2 years being a medical officer. Maybe you would like to work in US. It doesn't matter. US as a specialist, consultant, and so on. So whether you want to be a cardiologist, a neurosurgeon, or public health specialist, so you must have that long term, because it will set direction. Even if you change your plans, it's so be it. All right. For instance, myself, I wanted to be a physician all my life, and then towards the middle of my career, I was placed in a health center, so I became a public health specialist. Right? So it doesn't matter. So once you have these goals, imbued upon you, you want to prioritize which would come first. So if you are in the first year MBBS program, you have anatomy, anatomy, pathology, and physiology. So sorry, anatomy, biochemistry, and physiology. So you need to prioritize your chart of learning, all right, and look at the challenges, and you have to be specific. So we always encourage students from the SPM to continue their time management. And what I noticed, students who are doing quite badly or not doing well, they tend to leave out their learning styles, their plan management aside, because they think that once after SPM, in the real life in MBBS it will be different. No, it's exactly the same. Your learning style never change. Your personality shouldn't change. If you change your learning style, which I notice among students, they may want to take shortcut and so on, or not or avoid writing notes. Last time they used to write so much notes. So when they change their learning style, they tend to flounder. They tend to have problems, because after all, coming to MBBS, for you to enter MBBS, you must be a straight distinction student. So what happened when you come in and you are struggling? And when we look into the history, we notice that they actually changed their way of learning, so they shouldn't. And last time, of course, during SPM, I'm sure you have been given the Gantt chart, or the month of February you must finish so and so, August you must finish so and so. Then in very close to SPM, you must have gone 3 cycles or 4 cycles. So you must keep that in mind and keep that, all right, even as an MBBS student, which I notice students tend to leave. But the distinction students, when we interview them, they said they maintain their learning style from secondary to this one. And I tell you, learning style cannot change. We have done research on that. It cannot change. If you are learning that way, you must continue learning that way. If you change, then you might have problems later on. All right. And of course, planning is also planning to prepare for failure, because I tell you, right, a success is not defined by a straight line. Success is actually defined by picking up something. You have dropped something, so you bend over, you have failed something, then you pick up. So success is the ability to withstand failure and going on that path, or even going to a different path. It doesn't matter. And of course, we want you to enjoy your journey. And just for your information, why we want you to have a long-term planning, even though doctors are in, some say, overabundance. We have 33 medical schools, and then 5,000 graders coming on a yearly basis. But what we are lacking, if you look at this slide, is the number of specialists in the country. We have very few adolescent medicine, pediatric rheumatology. In fact, across the board, we have very few of these, and very limited space for entry into postgraduate program. If you can see, the only public universities are offering. And if you look at emergency medicine alone, we are short of 900 doctors. This is in 2016, and this is the rate, extremely low. Yeah, extremely low. So it would be good that you can think of any of this specialty in mind as a long-term planning. So this is in my view. And when we interview students, budding students entering the MBBS program, a lot of them, I can dare say here, when I ask them, what are you thinking of? 95% will tell, I want to be a plastic neurologist. Only 5% they are still, wondering, but we tell them, okay, it's all right. But it's a good thing. That means they are confident of themselves. It portrays confidence in you. It portrays that you have a vision and that you want to target. So in order for you to be a plastic surgeon, and there are only 8 plastic surgeons in the government now, I'm telling you, in order for you to be a plastic surgeon, you must complete your MBBS program.
Right. Okay. Now, Prof, thank you so much. It's been very, very insightful. Any words of advice for this young future doctors? They are at a precipice right now, and a lot of them, whether they are tuning in today from their own motivations, inspiration from frontliners, whatever it is. And I think a number of our guests are also, preparing for their public university interviews, right? With all your experience, do you have any word of advice for them? Like in choosing a medical school, how to prepare for the interview and in their journey to study MBBS?
Okay, I don't want to be too biased regarding the choosing of medical school, but it might be, good for you to do literature. All right, I don't want to be, okay, since I'm from Melaka-Manipal, you should choose. Okay, you should do literature and look into, for instance, the product of anything that you want. For instance, if you want to look at a vehicle, a car, you want to purchase a car, you look at the product, whether you can drive nicely, it has good speed, and so on. All right, for a medical student, the product would be specialist. All all right, for the MBBS program. That means how much percentage of them are turning to be specialists. And we like to state here that Melaka-Manipal has the largest number of specialists in the country, up to 30%. All right, and in fact, why we have this, because we imbued upon them high research competency, which is actually 50% of the marks needed for a master program. So we have two syllabus in research in phase 1 in Manipal and in phase 2. And because of this, every year we have been winning these medals. And about 3 years back, we have made it mandatory. I believe we are the only institution that makes it mandatory for students to publish papers. So if you just type Melaka-Manipal in Scholar Google, it will come out. And one thing is for them to be specialists, we have post-graduation fairs in the campus. We have, for instance, running side by side. We have MICP Part 1, MICOG, you want to be an ONG specialist. We have continuous medical education, CME talk. And just for you, if you are from Sri Lanka, we have a way of passing the Sri Lanka examination embedded in the campus in one of these post-graduation fairs. And a lot of our graduates have become specialists in their own right. And this Dr. Risha Manikam on your upper left-hand corner is actually a Dato. He has been a HOD for many years. So he's one of the stalwarts in emergency medicine. All right. And in fact, every Monday we have what is known as Motivational Monday, displaying, these students who have been specialists. So look at the number 96. So 96 specialists. This is in public health. 97th specialist. This is radiology and so on.
We crossed 100 about a month ago.
Yeah. Yes.
Putting our book.
So medicine is going to be a long journey. So you need to do literature search in terms of the best medical school. All right. So I don't want to force upon you, because that's not my style. But please be fair, so that it would actually help you out. All right, with regards to being a competent doctor. And in fact, our final semester 10 program is fully housemanship training. It has helped these graduates. They come back to me, Dr. Adi, the semester 10, which is fully housemanship with no exam. All right, the exam is only Bible. So when we come to the real world, they will say, you are from Melaka-Manipal? Okay, just come in. I don't have to give you any more training. So So the thing is, apart from this, you must have passion in being a doctor, and you must have all the skills that I have mentioned, all the 11 traits, from communication, from work ethics, from teamwork, from compassion, social skills, leadership, managerial. Then you have your competency. Then you have your passion and professional. Be a professional in lots of things, and of course be able to handle stress. And as mentioned, we have lots of facilities to cater to extracurricular activities. We have 2 pools here and another 7 in India. And we have even a sauna. And we spend a lot of money for students' consults activities to the tune of R500,000 ringgit on an annual basis.
Okay, Prof, we've got 10 minutes left. Now, the 2 questions have come in, and I'm going to put them here. The first one is, does a Malaysian student have to do their housemanship in a government hospital, or can they do it in a private hospital?
Okay, the answer is housemanship is only offered in the government hospital. As of now, I don't know, in the future they might want to put it in established private hospitals, but at the moment it's only in government hospitals. But the good news is, last time, during my time, it was only the big general hospitals that they award housemanship or housemanship postings. But now you can, in fact, even see in small district hospitals, like even Trendak Hospital, they offer housemanship. To my surprise, Trendak Camp Hospital in Malacca.
Right.
It's only a 100-bedded hospital, and they've already offered their wards to housemanship training. And housemanship training can also be done in health centers. You see, as a house officer, if I can show you the chart.
Right.
All right. Okay. After MBBS, you need to you need to wait for about 6 to 9 months before you are allowed to enter the housemanship era. So housemanship is for a 2-year duration. Housemanship offers 6 postings. 5 are mandatory. The 5 would be medicine, surgery, OBG, Obs and Gynae, pediatrics, and orthopedic. This is mandatory for 4 months each. 5 times 4, 20 months. So you have another 4 months. The last 4 months is a toss-up between in the psychiatric unit, or you can go to Hospital Tanjung Rambutan, which is this one. You can be there, or you can be in the family medicine, meaning the health center, or you can go for this A&E. All right, so 5 mandatory postings plus 1. So this one must be in the government hospital as of now.
Right. Okay. Now, it's a 5-year time investment, and it's a lot of money, to groom a child to become a doctor. We're talking about 400 to 500,000 ringgit. What's the houseman's salary like?
Okay, you'll be glad to know that houseman salary is quite high. You'll be earning about 3,800. That is just basic. Once you add in the incentives, you have social incentives. If you're in Sabah Sarawak, you have other incentives on that. You have critical allowance incentive, and once you add that, it will come to 4,005. And then you are also required to do this on call. And when you are doing on call, you are also given allowances, so you go up to 5,000 plus. And
Wow.
after 2 years, you so as a houseman, just your first year of training, you already attain 5,000 plus. You tell me which other profession offers you in your first year 5,000 plus. So apart from that, after 2 years of training as a house officer, as a medical officer, once you are gazetted and having the full registration, you can work in clinics. Like for instance, you are not on call. We allow you to do this in the government. So you go to the clinics, private clinics, and you can earn sometimes 200 ringgit per day. So you just spend about 4 days in a month, you will get 800 ringgit. So you'll get about 6,000, 7,000. And this is still in the government. All right, and now government incentives are quite high. So a lot of doctors that continue training, and I just showed to him, once your medical officership, you'll be stationed in the government. Once you are in the government, I advise you to do specialist course, do master program, which is offered by public universities, because they will continue your salary. So that is the best of both worlds. You become a specialist, and the government is still paying you salary. All right, and tune to 6,000 to 7,000 ringgit as a junior doctor. So it's nice. But of course, if you want to go private, you can go do so after 4 years. You look at the slide. You can be a general practitioner and so on. All right. So yeah, and being a specialist consultant, I have to inform that it's not just in Malaysia but all over the world. Specialists, they earn the highest in the professional categories. They can easily earn 6 figures. All right, 5 to 6 figures per month. All right, if you are good in private specialist center, you can earn even 6 figure. I have friends who have that last time. So,
But that's where the MBBS competency, together with all the other skills and competency, professionalism and passion comes in, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Now, Prof, we have one other question.
Sure.
What is your opinion on the future of medicine in Malaysia and the job opportunity in few years' time? Bearing in mind that our viewers today would be embarking on their MBBS, so they would be joining the workforce in 6 years' time. Do you foresee there will be a change? Would there be more housemanship positions opening up? Would there be less? Would the wait time be longer, shorter? What's your thought?
Okay. A doctor's life as a profession is guaranteed. You see, even in the advent of COVID-19, you see, in the hotel industry, people are being laid down. In Malacca, we have lost two hotels, Ramada and the other one, Century Mahkota. They have closed down,
Yeah.
right? And then we also have lost, even airline industry. But doctors are required to be in the front line. Even in wars also they are required. So in any event, doctor is needed. All right. So they say, Dr. Adi, there are so many rumors about overabundance of doctors. I agree, 33. But I'm telling you, if you go to the wards, we are still looking at less doctors than it's supposed to be. And they say we are still accepting them. And I'm telling you, if you join the MBBS program, nowhere in other professions is that your job is guaranteed. It's
The
guaranteed.
first
It's
job.
only that, yeah, as a house
The
officer
first
is
job.
guaranteed. It's only that you have to wait 6 to 9 months. And God bless, we hope that we have some form of contract tweaking and so on. Then the waiting period would be lessened. And as I mentioned, that we are severely lacking in specialists. And I'm telling you, a lot of doctors, graduates, they do not go into a specialty because perhaps maybe their medical schools do not emphasize into that. But I'm very proud to state that Melaka-Manipal, we force students to go up, and we have, as I've shown you earlier, post-graduation fairs. We have this parade of of motivational Monday. These are all specialists in their own rights, and we tell them, and we have a committee. I think Barbara, you can validate me, which is headed by Madam Suda. It is
Yeah.
called alumni graduate committee that hunts all graduates of Manipal, Doctor so and so. What are you doing now? You still,
Yes.
MO, you're not thinking. And Madam Suda would pester and pester until, okay lah, that's it lah. Rather than listening to Madam Suda, I'll go and join the master program. Then after that, they'll come back to us. Madam Suda, thank you so much for pestering. Now I'm a full-fledged specialist. In the country, we are, lacking in specialty. Like in the Peninsular Malaysia, in this slide, there's only 0.3 per 10,000 and so on. So, they are very happy. And being a doctor is not so much into being confirm of a job salary, but is to save lives. We see joy. To me, the greatest joy is not finance, but to see the joy emanating from my patient's face. You can see. I can remember this from day one when I was medical officer. We work out and save a person's life. So he say, he looked at me, his eyes beaming with with extreme gratitude. That itself is, I tell you, it's immeasurable. You can't exchange that with finance. Right? So the joy that they show to you is different when you give them something. They are also happy, but you are saving them, their lives. You are prolonging their this one. You are reducing their complications.
That's
So
right.
they are extremely happy. But of course, you must be prepared for deaths also. That's the
That's
downside.
right.
You cannot expect to save everybody, but they might be dead. But of course, this happens in all kinds of professions, so you have to be prepared for any eventuality.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our webinar. For those whose questions we were not able to address today, we will be contacting you by WhatsApp to provide you the answer to your question. Melaka-Manipal Medical College, we are right now open for intake for our MBBS and such. The program would be starting in October, God willing, face to face. And we hope that if you're still considering where you should do your MBBS, you should think of us. We are, after all, one of Malaysia's oldest and most established private and medical and dental college. We have over 30,000 patients a year available for clinical training for dentistry, and over 1,000 patient beds available for MBBS, bedside teaching. We are located in the multicultural city of Malacca. Malacca is only 9 minutes away from the capital, Kuala Lumpur. And, honestly, I'm from KL. I've been working in Malacca for a year. It feels like you're coming home. The people there welcome you as one of your own. And if you're training to become a doctor or a dentist, you could have no better place to do that. You don't get into a situation in the hospitals where patient says, I don't want you to touch me, don't talk to me, that sort of thing. Everybody welcomes you as one of your own. And we have faculties led by Professor RD, who are globally experienced, so they would be more than well placed to help you figure out what you want to do in your future and such, right? So with that, we thank everybody for tuning in. We wish you a good day. And if you're going out, we hope you take the necessary precautions that you need so that we beat this pandemic and we can go back to life as it was before. Have a great day, everybody.